China absolutely blew up the Chinese infiltration into our elections. The Johnson complacency in hiding the Chinese infiltration in our elections, and some very damning and damaging documentation from different meetings and committee meetings, et cetera, from Katie Telford and other highly placed security advisors are basically illustrating that they knew with a lot of detail about how deeply infiltrated our elections and everything our government is from China and foreign states, China specifically. And holy cow, like, people should actually be going to jail. And I mean, I've been calling for that for a while, but crimes upon crimes are being committed. And it seems like the RCMP are like the three blind mice. You know, they can't see. I was going to start today's show with some tanning glasses on and be like, oh my gosh, I looked at the sun, but I thought it was a lame joke. So also I couldn't find my tanning glasses. So we're going to talk about China. We're going to start in China. Silent weapons for quiet wars, problem, reaction, solution, also trans ideology, also everything that they've been distracting us with. A wizard's circle is silent weapons for quiet wars. We're going to talk about that just a little bit. Canada to buy some nuclear subs. Money? What's money? Money's no object for Canada. We're going to make it rain, baby. We want nuclear subs, and we want catering on the subs, and we want some women, or, you know, people who identify as women, whatever, because it's liberal. Oops, sorry, wrong one. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff. We're apparently in the running for nuclear subs, but we didn't want the subs when the United States and the Five Eyes were buying subs from Australia. We don't want those subs. Okay, so we didn't feel left out at all. Now we need a new sub, not then, now. Okay, so then we didn't know. Now we need a new sub. Oh, our government is awful. Nova Scotia says all your health records are belong to me, right? So I've previously shot a warning up and told people who live in Nova Scotia, Noel, about this new bill. And I think it's Bill C-60 something. I want to say 63, but that's the censorship bill federally. But I think it's something close to that. In Nova Scotia, though, and this bill gives your health records over to the government, and it's passed and got royal assent yesterday. Boo. So that's not great. And Kevin Vung drops Hindu phobia. He says, oh man, this is a terrible, awful thing that is happening in Canada. Hindu phobia. And also I got new headphones. My old headphones, one of the ears stopped working. It was this ear stopped working. No, this ear stopped working. And they kept getting caught up in the microphone. I don't know if you'd hear it a lot, but it would always get caught up in the microphone. It would drive me crazy. And so I was looking for the exact same headphones because I like those headphones. They fit into my ear and they didn't fall out well, or they didn't fall out very often, even if I was chewing, right? Because sometimes if I've got big ears and they're strangely shaped. So when I put earphones in, like in-ear earphones, they usually fall out, especially if I'm like moving my mouth at all. They just fall out of my ear. It's weird. So these Bose ones used to work. And now they don't make them at all anymore. And I said, I can't even get them on Amazon. You can't get them new on Amazon. I found a couple on eBay, but I was like, it was used, you know, probably they didn't sit in somebody's ear, but I was like, I don't know, man. It's a little weird. So I didn't buy them, and I bought these, so I look a little weird. Anyway, there's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. We have to start in China. Sheila Gunn Reed says, holy cow, no wonder the Liberal government withheld these CSIS documents until 1 a.m. this morning. We know that the PRC clandestinely and deceptively interfered in both the 2019 and 2021 general elections. At least 18 candidates and 13 staff members were implicated in the PRC foreign interference networks. That's a lot of implication. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of corruption. I mean, could you whistle on by and miss it, right? Like, didn't see that. Oh, well, all that Chinese money flying around. I just must have missed it. I'm going to show the first bit, because the first bit is, you guys knew about this. And then the second bit is, you guys knew about this since 2019. So that's 5 years ago. That's a long time. And I wonder if there's going to be any kind of movement made for people who ran in the 2019 election, like me, who were screwed by this, right? And the 21 election too, who were screwed by this, because people got screwed by this. And I said yesterday at dinner, I know why I lost the 2019 election now. And my family said, oh, really? And I said, Lloyd Longfield is Chinese. And then everybody laughed. So, okay, here's the Chinese thing. Here we go.
On the first page, actually this is the only page I believe, because I think the second page is fully redacted. The assessment reads, investigations into activities linked to the Canadian federal election in 2019 reveal an active foreign interference network. Then there's a redaction. This network involved the Chinese redaction, local community leaders, Canadian politicians, and their staff. Under broad guidance from the redacted, co-opted staff of targeted politicians, provide advice on China-related issues, and community leaders facilitate the clandestine transfer of funds and recruit potential targets. Ms. Drouin, have you seen this document before?
Yes, I have seen that document before. It's difficult for me to say when I've seen that document with the different roles I've played, but I have seen that document before.
Do you recall, have you seen it before giving your witness statement that I referred to earlier?
I've seen it following the leaks and the work I've done in terms of the leaks investigation.
Okay. So my question is, given that this document uses the term network and it's not just the media, does that change your opinion on the appropriateness of its use?
The comment that you quote before are still the same. The network here doesn't mean that the individuals were working in concert.
Okay.
The lawyer looks very, very skeptical that what she's being told is accurate. And so this is 3 minutes in, or 2 minutes, 51 seconds, and the lawyer is reading a document from the 2019 election. I'll back it up just a little bit. They're trying to find a specific thing. Okay, perfect. So here it is. We'll play this. Hold on. Here we go.
So here, CSIS writes, we know that the PRC clandestinely and deceptively interfered in both the 2019 and 2021 general elections. In both cases, these FI activities were pragmatic in nature and focused primarily on supporting those viewed to be either pro-PRC or neutral on issues of interest to the PRC government. They also write at least 18 candidates and 13 staff members were implicated in PRC FI networks. This included members of multiple political parties. So my question for this panel is, in the panel's briefings with CSIS in the lead up to the election, did they use this sort of language? Is this the sort of information you received?
The pragmatic, like it depends, like there's a lot of things here. So
that's true, there are. Well, we could break it down. What about we know?
Let's start at the beginning.
What I do remember, sorry, I don't even see.
Excuse me, can we
So, yeah, and then they scroll up to the top of the thing.
scroll up to the top of the document?
Yeah.
For a minute? This is there, back to the
So this
assertions in media reporting.
Okay, so that is following the leaks. Thank you. That is really following the leaks, where.
She's talking about the CSIS leaks. Okay, so the CSIS leaker leaked. Then they saw these documents, according to them. But the Prime Minister was briefed, and Katie Telford was briefed, and the top security people were briefed. This is the panel of 5 who was supposed to inform Canadians about interference in our elections in 2019, because that was created because they were worried about interference in our elections in 2019, because Justin Trudeau was interfering with China to make sure that the Conservative Party or anybody else, Maxime Bernier, and the People's Party weren't able to get seats. And I strongly believe that our elections are not above board, and they can place whoever they want in whatever seat they want. They don't have, they're not playing with, well, if we get X amount, we can put a Liberal, and if we get Y amount, we can put an NDP. They can put a Green in any seat they want, period. They could put a Green in Calgary if they wanted to, or in Alberta, anywhere they want. Even a rural Calgary spot, they can put an NDPer if they want. That's what I'm saying. And the only problem with it is the people won't accept it. And there's too many people in Toronto to have a consensus to say, hold on a sec, we didn't vote for this. There's too many people with too many diverging, difficult problems, so they can't focus. And they instead ignore it and allow the people who stole our election to continue running our government, right? And these people, this panel of 5, were supposed to inform Canadians, and they did not. They didn't do their job. And when asked, did you see this report? Oh yeah, we saw this report after the leak. Did the report you saw say these words in that way? Like, did it say that they clandestinely interfered? Because that's to the letter of the law illegal. So why didn't you say anything? I just can't remember. Oh, my head's so full of money from Justin Trudeau. I can't remember what I'm supposed to say, I guess, right? She got all flustered when asked a simple question. Let's start at the beginning. How about we know? Right? And here's the whole 12-minute panel. If you're interested in the whole cross-examination, Sheila Gunn-Reid is sharing that. I don't have time to go into it this morning because there's lots to get to, right? There's a whole bunch of more China interesting stuff to talk about. Rex Glacier is responding to Globe Politics, and Globe Politics says CSIS briefing for the Prime Minister's office in 23 says China interfered in both 2019 and 21 elections, inquiry told. The inquiry knew that, and they said they knew that. I just played it for you, and I just played you the allegations that they were showed. So Rex Glacier responds to this. In a real country, this would be a major crisis. Yes, this is a big deal. This is bigger than the eclipse, I promise you. Sam Cooper, this should take down this government. By all rights, this should take down this government. If this was 2005, that would take down this government, right? Regardless of whether it's conservative or liberal. 2005, it was liberal. But regardless of what the makeup of the government is, a scandal like this would take down that government. Why Jagmeet Singh is worried about Polyev being out of touch with poor Canadians? That's all he's worried about. He posted something yesterday at 2:00. We'll see it at the end of this series of tests. This is 9:30 a.m. Sam Cooper says, putting a few pieces of testimony from the past few days together with my previous awareness, I'd say Canada likely got a smoking gun of extreme importance on a VIP from signals intelligence after the 2021 election regarding a specific threat, but it's so highly classified it apparently can't be detailed. We heard CSE got 2021 intel on a financial transaction, and Trudeau NSIA Morrison got a very significant piece on an unidentified nation in 2021. So John says, oh, no, that's not the right one. Sorry. I thought there was a tweet talking about, there was a little bit more color, but that's not the right one. Sam Cooper says, breaking, this is big. So senior Trudeau security officials warned days before the 2019 election that China had transferred $250,000 to their network of people. And we just heard at the beginning, just because it says network of people doesn't mean they were working together. But interestingly enough, at least 13 people and $250,000 all working for PRC China, but they weren't working together. You expect me to believe that? Really? Come on. Jason again says 3 days before the federal election in 2019, approximately $250,000 was transferred from Chinese officials into a network that included federal candidates and staffers. How many smoking guns do we need at this point? Who are these people working for? But wait, there's more, right? Yeah, there's lots more. It's crazy. Michael Cooper, MP, says Prime Minister Trudeau was briefed that Beijing's election interference was working against the Conservative Party of Canada. He benefited from the interference and tried to keep it hidden from Canadians. Telford, Prime Minister Trudeau's top advisor, knew about this when she came to the PROC last year, and she misled committee by omission. She didn't mention it. She didn't say anything about it, right? Stephen Chase says, released at the inquiry, February 21, 2023 notes for briefing the Prime Minister by CSIS said in 21, the PRC foreign interference activities were almost certainly motivated by a perception that the Conservative Party of Canada was promoted a platform that was perceived to be anti-PRC, People's Republic of China. So that's interesting. So they moved to minimize that potential damage for themselves by picking the candidate and then bankrolling them. But there's even more. I'll throw in these Julienne knives. Trudeau also was told in 2017 that feds were aware Chinese police were conducting illegal investigations in Canada. So remember all those Chinese police stations that we found out about post-pandemic, post-COVID nonsense, right? Yeah, it turns out they've been operating for years, since 2017. Well, since 2017 that the government was aware, right, and did nothing, right? The Canada-China national security and rule of law dialogue is one mechanism to raise sensitive issues to the highest level. Blah, redacted, raised the issue of Chinese law enforcement officers conducting investigations in Canada without following proper protocols. Blah, Chinese law enforcement officers. So pretty wild stuff. Here's Sam Cooper again, and he's responding to this tweet. Justin Trudeau said he was never briefed on the issue. 2 high-level national security reports before and after the 2019 election suggest they were warned that Chinese government officials were funneling money to Canadian political candidates. Sam Cooper says, this is one thing, the brazen lies, but all the Ottawa reporters that swallowed it is something I will always remember and hold in reserve. So they didn't just swallow it. They regurgitated it to you as if it was absolute truth. And they told you, people like me who were saying, I don't know, man, seems pretty hinky. I was spreading misinformation, disinformation, or somehow lying to further my own agenda, which I think I'm pretty straightforward about what my agenda is. I'd like to put my show out, please. Oh, I'm banned on YouTube? Shucks. Again? So, I mean, it's pretty interesting. And like I say, I'm just trying to talk about Canadian politics in kind of a funny way, because I think the cast of characters is absolutely hilarious. It just happened that at the same time, they decided to become really super criminal and comically bad at it. I mean, not necessarily comically bad at it, because they're being very effective. Like, they've stolen a lot of money. Like the ventilators. Have you heard about the ventilators? We're going to get to the ventilators later in the show. But here's an example of how absolutely, like, comically bad at being criminals they are. They ordered the ventilators. They set up a situation, COVID, where they'd need ventilators. Then an insider, a crony liberal, somebody who was an MP, a liberal MP, and knew Justin Trudeau, put together a ventilator company. There was a sole source contract, meaning nobody else bid on it, just this guy, this insider. He got $170 million. They never took ownership. They never took possession of all of the ventilators, claimed they donated the ventilators to Ukraine, and actually sold the ventilators for scrap metal after giving this guy $170 million. And I don't even think that he delivered all of the ventilators. That's how criminal this is. And they're really bad at it. Because they're really, like, they got caught. It's like their hand is in the cookie jar. They're eating a cookie while they're trying to take another couple of cookies called AI and I don't know, whatever else they're going to get GC strategies to pretend they're working on. And they got caught. And they're still trying to pull their hand out of the cookie jar to eat the cookie they've got their hand on, because in their mind, that's their cookie. It's like, dude, that's our cookie. That's our tax dollar. You don't even use AI to translate French documents to English. We have a translation service that takes forever and it is very expensive, and you could do this very cheaply with AI. Holy smoke. Okay, back to the Chinese stuff. Holy cow. Andy Lee is responding to No's report of the 2017, being aware in 2017 of Chinese police stations. She says, call an election. Right now, this man has lost all moral authority to govern this country. Canadian citizens were harassed, intimidated, sued, and threatened while his government sat on this intel and did nothing and pretended they had no idea when it came to light. Oh man, yeah, we'll get my buddy here to do an investigation, and then I'll hawk ads for his mobile or modular home company. Right? That sounds like a great idea. This kills two birds with one stone, Mr. Johnston. Andy Lee again, she says, David Johnston's report, I asked the Prime Minister and other ministers if they or their staff knew anything about the money being transferred into federal candidates in the 2019 election. They indicated that they had not heard anything about this until the media reporting. The Prime Minister pointed out that he is not briefed on matters that are not supported by reliable intelligence. No recommendations were made to any minister or the Prime Minister about this allegation, and therefore no recommendations were ignored, they say, but that's not true, right? Stephen Chase says, here's the screenshot of one page of documents, and he gives the document number, which was shown on screen at Foreign Interference Inquiry, but has not yet been released to the press. And it, again, underlines, we know that the PRC clandestinely and deceptively interfered in both the 2019 and 2021 elections. This was a briefing to Justin Trudeau before he was asked, were you briefed? And before he said, I've never been briefed on this. He was briefed on this. He lies like a rug, okay? Sunny ways, says the Liberal Party. Sunny ways. Are you kidding me? FU, says Canadians, and they're getting ratioed. And this person who is upset with the Liberals is just one of many, and he's linking the PRC clandestinely and deceptively interfering in the 2019 and 2021 elections as proof that these Liberals are anything but sunny ways. They're treasonous, and they should probably be in handcuffs. Dean says Katie Telford saw it, the memo we're talking about, and kept it secret, as did Trudeau's security advisor. Both should go to prison. Yeah, I don't think that's far off, right? Dan McTeague is responding to this. Holly Doan says cash contributions by Chinese agents to friendly public office holders breached Elections Act, says 2022 memo. $250,000 in illegal political donations were known to cabinet-appointed election monitors, but never made public. So it's funny to me, like I didn't have $250,000, and I didn't have a piece of $250,000 to work with for my election. I had to do a lot of that through donations. It was a shoestring budget. A lot of PPC candidates had even a smaller budget than me and don't have the technical chops. I can toss up a website, no problem. I can I can do this show. I can do all sorts of media and things like that without needing anybody else, right? So I can do quite a lot of things that other people need to pay other people for, like a website. I can do all that. That's free. And then, I mean, trying to tell Elections Canada how that all worked and what the donations looked like and all that rest, it was kind of like, well, I just did that. And they said, well, how much does it cost? I said, me or somebody who doesn't know what they're doing? And it's very interesting. So like, I was on a shoestring budget and I did a pretty good showing, I think. But how much Chinese money did Lloyd Longfield get, right? Really, how much Chinese money did anybody else in the race get, right? How do you fix that? Can we rerun the 2019 election? Can we? I don't know that I want to, but it would be interesting, that's for sure. But the political temperature, I mean, Justin Trudeau would need to be in jail, right? You can't do that and then be like, oh man, shucks, I didn't mean to take all that Chinese money. I didn't know it was bad. You can't do that. You can't do that. Dan McTeague says Liberal votes can now be counted as CCP votes. That's Chinese Communist Party, not Conservative Party of Canada. All these acronyms. Trudeau knew of and allowed our electoral system to be compromised. That's a firing offense, if not sedition. That's a get a police force that is actually patriotic and allies with themselves with Canada to arrest this traitor and start the proceedings of dealing with our country having been attacked and sort out the problem and then fix it, right? But pretending that this is just a minor blip. Oh man, I got confused about where that $250,000 came from. I think that would be a mistake. It would be a big mistake. This is a big, big bombshell. Stacy says, on Wednesday, Trudeau will testify at the public inquiry into foreign interference. In the clip below, we see him lying through his teeth in the House of Commons in March 2023. Wednesday should be interesting if lawyers are able to push past his word salad. And this is him saying that he wasn't briefed. Do we want to listen to Trudeau? This is back and forth between Pierre and Trudeau. So we'll listen to it, but Trudeau warning. I don't think I'll show the whole thing. Here we go.
Leader of the opposition.
Section 21 of the act that creates that secret committee says, and I quote, each year the committee must submit to the Prime Minister a report of the reviews it conducted during the preceding years. In other words, he did receive the report. He should stop playing word games. Nobody needs to go to the library. What we need to do is get to the truth. The Prime Minister knew that his own security committee said Beijing had directed funds to candidates in preceding elections, and yet he continues to say exactly the opposite. Is he saying that the committee is lying?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to clear up the confusion around what the committee reports. Yes, the committee reports to me and to the government, but it also reports to parliamentarians and shares those reports. So this is the way many committees function in our government and will continue to. In regards to the issue of whether federal candidates received money from China, as I've stated many times, we have no information on that.
Okay.
Leader.
Big lies, not the truth at all, right? How can we have somebody who lies to us so easily be the leader of the country, right? I think that's an intolerable situation. That is not something that we should accept. Wiretap Media says conservative, or con man, Mark Holland, he's the health minister right now, I believe, thought it was a great idea to work in a collaborative partnership with the Chinese Minister of Defense and Academy of Sciences after American intelligence warned that they were a potential risk of biological weapon capabilities. So not only are the Chinese interfering in our elections, but they're hanging out in Winnipeg labs, sending Ebola back to Wuhan, right? And who knows what else. And the top brass are behaving as if business as usual, totally normal, right? And we're not going to listen to Mark Holland and that back and forth at this point in time. We're just going to carry on. Here's Contrarian, and a Canadian reporter asks Justin Trudeau about disturbing clause in new military framework and funding, which Trudeau does not answer. One of the things I noticed in the new document was Canadian Armed Forces helping domestic law enforcement in Canada. So we've seen this already. We've seen this during the Freedom Convoy. We saw this during the most recent, there was a protest recently, the protest in the Axe the Tax. It's not actually the anti-carbon tax protest. It's not a Polyev event. It's a anti-carbon tax protest in Alberta. And the police officers were dressed in police gear, but they didn't have badge numbers showing or anything to that effect. And people were concerned. They wouldn't respond to questions. They wouldn't respond to citizens coming out with a in peace and saying, would you shake my hand? They wouldn't respond. Is that what we're seeing? Right? Like during the Freedom Convoy, people were in green fatigues and people said, who are these people? Are they foreigners? Where did they come from? And are they foreigners? Where did they come from? These other police who were out in front of the protesters in Alberta and Saskatchewan, are they military? Maybe we should put a finer point on this question that Justin Trudeau and Bill Blair ignores. Here we go.
To project future threats. One of the things I noticed in the document, and then there was no follow-up on, so I'm hoping to find out what it's about, was the Canadian Armed Forces helping domestic law enforcement in Canada. What does that involve?
Happy to turn to Minister Blair for that. Bill. He's an expert in both.
I've done a bit of both. First of all, in the National Defence Act, one of the responsibilities of the Canadian Armed Forces, in addition to all of the extraordinary work and challenges that we place before them, is to be there when required to assist what we call civil authority. And so that legislation, we need to have that capacity.
To project future threats. One of the
We need to have that capacity to support Canadian law enforcement, to support. If I firmly believe, if you have a military, that job of that military is not to be put against Canadian citizens who are protesting their government. The reason for the military is to secure borders and to fight people who would threaten your way of life, who would come in and do things in Canada that would harm us, like running into a bridge, domestic terrorism, anything like that. The military is there for that, not for backing up the police. I don't think, right? And I think that if there's a government that wants to send their military against its citizens, then that government should be immediately recalled, immediately removed from power, with a caretaker government sitting waiting in the wings, right? And that doesn't mean Poilievre takes over. That means a caretaker government of truckers. The government is well aware that they have been carrying water for the Chinese, and they're doing their best to limit the ability for the government, for anybody to get to the bottom of it through censorship and through tricks in the courtroom as well. Jason is highlighting that. An important thread on actually Bruce is highlighting that. Jason highlights Bruce's thread. An important thread on foreign interference inquiry. Trudeau government is releasing important documents as the inquiry is underway, making it impossible for legal representatives on either side to read or interpret them while the inquiry continues. The Trudeau government was supposed to submit all documents 2 weeks before the inquiry began. Quebec Commissioner Hogue is okay with this, though, and is insisting on following a linear timeline, so even if everyone finds the time to analyze the documents, they'll be inadmissible since they've moved on from those events in the timeline. This is all theater, just one way the Trudeau Liberals have cooked the books. The corruption in Canada is so deep, there's no way out. Oh, I don't know about that. There's definitely a way out. I think there's absolutely 100% a way out. We can easily put together, I think, a way out. But a lot of people would be uncomfortable. And there's going to be conflict with that. And I've mentioned before, Brazil, Lula, Bolsonaro, that situation, people will do everything to avoid that, okay? And in that situation, Lula and the deep state won, right? So we have to be smarter. But there is a way out of this, 100% true. No doubt, back to the tweet, once the inquiry is finished, Trudeau will use the conclusion as proof China didn't interfere in 2019 and 2021. Canada has been captured. I think that that's true. And the whole thread is here. The whole thread is linked here, talking about how they're doing late night, like 1 a.m. document drops, and nobody has time to go through the documents. And if they did have time to go through the documents before the end of the trial, they've already moved on from that part of the discussion. So sorry, we're not talking about that anymore. This is done on purpose to minimize the damage and to make it so Hogue can come up with the conclusion that she's been told to come up with already. She knows what she's supposed to say. She's just figuring out how to say it, which is exactly what happened with Rouleau and Johnston. Here is one of the lawyers asking for more time because the documentation was not properly submitted. Here we go.
Would like to remind the commission of Rules 56 of the Rules of Practice and Procedure, which mandates that in advance of the testimony of a witness, Commission Counsel shall, with reasonable notice, provide the parties with a list of the documents associated with the witness's anticipated evidence in chief. L'Alliance apprécie la tentative de la Commission.
The Alliance would appreciate the attempt of the committee to remedy the prejudice caused by documents being submitted very late last night, pushing the cross-examination to this afternoon, but since we received something at 1 o'clock in the morning, the way to remedy this prejudice would be to put off the whole hearing until tomorrow. And I would like to know why that was not a selection.
Time constraints that we all have to work within. So there's...
So the timing is very important. So sorry about that. Sorry that they're playing dirty tricks. This is another lawyer asking for the same thing. Lawyers want more time. Here we go.
Remarkable document. And it would be of assistance to the parties to know whether Commission Counsel have had the opportunity to examine on that document in camera. We got the document on Saturday, I gather. I didn't see it till Sunday, but as you consider whether or not to recall witnesses, as my colleague has asked you to do, I would appreciate if you could also advise the parties whether or not this document was available to the Commission itself when they were conducting their own examinations earlier.
Okay, I hear you. I said I'm going to look at the document. I'll be very honest. I cannot, right from the top of my head, know what document we are talking about. So I want to have the opportunity to look at the document, and then I will decide and let you know what will be my decision and what will be the next course of action about that.
Commissioner, Tom Jarman for Aaron O'Toole. In addition to 4495, I would appreciate if you turn your mind to two other documents we got last night, which is CAN 004079 underscore R01 and CAN 015842. We have similar concerns with respect to 4495, and to the extent that Commission Counsel has examined the witnesses in camera and addressed those, I would rely upon that, but it is important those documents be addressed. Thank you.
So, dirty tricks still, and that will prevent us getting to the truth. And that's the point. Apparently, the RCMP has launched a criminal investigation into the 2021 election interference by foreign agents, according to Commissioner Duhim. And so I'll expect the conclusion of that investigation sometime after 2035. Ridiculous. Alberta Leonidas says, meaning they will hide any real connection to the Liberal Party or the NDP, but will find a few CPC and a few random Chinese they will blame. So yeah, they'll use it to their advantage and not actually get to the bottom of anything. They will just use it to their advantage. So here's Jagmeet. Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful